welcome here to TalkFCB and welcome back to the week like no other. Bayern have already been dispatched by Barca and now it is time to head to the Santiago Bernabeu. And coming up today, already we're moving on to the Clasico. We are moving on here to the next challenge that we face. And we're going to be looking at exactly how this game will look. There is going to be a different feel about it against Real Madrid. And we're going to be discussing all areas of the game here today. Especially the one area of Real Madrid's team that Barca should, and I believe they will, target most. It is all coming up for you. Get yourself ready. And let's do this. But indeed, guys, we do have to kick off with some very, very special super thanks shout-outs here on the channel. To Nevis, to Matt, to Joseph, and to Jose. Absolutely incredible super thanks support right now. The Barca fan base, it is bouncing, and we are all together enjoying this moment, riding the wave. Long may that continue. But in order to do that, in order here to keep this good feeling going, we have to understand the challenge that we face. And Real Madrid this Saturday, it's going to be exactly that. They pose different kinds of threats to what Bayern did. They are a different kind of team to face entirely, and there is so much at stake in this Clasico. And let's kick off here with the potential lineups of the two teams. Looking first of all at Barca, I think, to be honest, we know roughly who's going to be playing in this game. I think we're going to see a very, very similar team to the one that beat Bayern and beat them so convincingly. And it was really, really important that as that game went on, we were able to just rotate a little bit. Incredibly there, we were able to save a few legs as that game went on. But there are still big questions about who's going to be the 10, who will be the 10 in this game. And as we're going to go on to talk about, for me, we must stay offensive, because when you are looking at Real Madrid then, they of course were also involved in a very hectic game in midweek there in the Champions League against Borussia Dortmund, but they do have big injury blows ahead of this game. First of all, there is no Thibaut Courtois. That is a massive, massive miss for Real Madrid. We know how influential he can be. We know how he can come up clutch, particularly in the biggest of games, biggest of moments there. Lunin will come in and replace him, as he did, of course, for much of last season. There's also going to be no Rodrigo for Carlo Ancelotti's team. He is also ruled out of the Clasico, and that's going to be an interesting one, because that seemingly will force Ancelotti to just change shape a bit. The attacking structure of the team may look different. The midfield setup may be different too. And I believe here with Real Madrid, we are going to see Jude Bellingham return to a more offensive position, just slotting in behind there Kylian Mbappe and also Vinicius Jr., forming a trio, but a very different trio to what it would have been with Rodrigo. Because what you get then with Real Madrid is, like I say, Jude Bellingham pushing on more offensively. Carlo Ancelotti is the kind of coach here who likes to give his players freedom, you know, the ability to express themselves, not unlike Hansi Flick in some ways in that department. You'll see Bellingham here having the freedom to play in behind Mbappe, and Vinicius, he can either operate in a more central area there to create the two of them will try to combine. They haven't quite got that fully worked out yet at Real Madrid, but of course Vinicius, he will go where the space is. If it's in a central area, he can play between the centre backs. If it's out wide, he's going to be more out towards the left hand side. And of course Fede Valverde, it's all going to be about the energy that he brings to the game here. Going forward, of course, he can operate in so many areas. Defensively, Real Madrid will be looking for him to help out as much as possible, but that's again why I would say it's absolutely imperative here, with all of that energy that Real Madrid have, we must keep this 10 as an offensive player there. Somebody who is constantly going to be, as we saw against Bayern, on that shoulder. Whenever Real Madrid are committing midfielders forward, whenever they're taking risks in our half, we need our attacking midfield player, whoever it may be, we're going to talk about that, but we need them to be ready. We need them to be lurking, to be waiting for opportunities to hurt Real Madrid in behind their midfield. But of course, guys, one of the most pressing topics, ironically, in this game that we must talk about early on here, it is all about that Barca Highline. That is where all of the attention is going to be ahead of this game. What is Flick going to do with that line? Is he really going to come to the Santiago Bernabeu against the pace of Real Madrid and play this high in the field? Now, it's going to be really interesting. Knowing him as a character, knowing him as a coach, I would say probably yes. I would say that probably here, no matter who we're facing, no matter what the challenge is, we stick to our principles and we will approach the game in this way. Now, if we do, there's a few things that we simply must do against Real Madrid. If you set up in this way, you have to be ready from the word go to the 95th minute to press the ball. Because if you allow Real Madrid any time, any space on the ball in this shape here with this high line, all they're going to do is pop the ball over the top. We know that that is as simple as it gets, and Real Madrid, they will love that. Mbappe in that amount of space there, Vinicius Jr. in that amount of space. We're going to be talking specifically about those in just a moment. But if you don't press the ball, don't bother. Don't even bother turning up at the Bernabeu if you're not physically ready to compete. And of course, you're looking at that Bayern game. Apparently after the game, Barca, physically, they were feeling it. You know, after the game, there was tiredness, especially in training today. Apparently Flick didn't actually hold training at the same intensity as usual. Today, he wanted to give the players just an opportunity to recover and get themselves ready again to face a game with this intensity, because we will need to be at it when it comes to pressing with that high line. And I do believe it's going to be a very interesting game for many, many reasons, especially if we see that high line, because it's going to be different this time around for two different reasons. Number one, there's no Ronald Araujo in this team. So again, when we played Real Madrid in the past there, whenever there's been balls into that kind of space in behind, you've always had Araujo to cover in. You've always had a player there with unbelievable pace and athleticism to cover that space. Now in that backline, as brilliant as they have been, and they have by the way, Barca's backline has been unreal, we still don't have the pace of Araujo. We are going to miss that in that area, and that is something, of course, that we will be lacking. But on the other hand, though, you have to look at Real Madrid too, because in this kind of position, yeah, if Barca don't press the ball, if there's space opening up for Real Madrid, who would be getting the ball in that kind of area? Who would be pinging passes there in behind with pinpoint accuracy? It would have been Toni Kroos. In the past there, Kroos has been absolutely key in that kind of situation. Now, Real Madrid don't have him anymore. He's retired. He's now on Instagram making incorrect predictions for Barca against Bayern. That's just what he's doing, and that's absolutely fine. But he's not going to be in this game. Real Madrid will miss his influence. But before we talk about matching up Vinicius, about exactly how you tried to deal with that kind of threat, well, why don't we talk about Real Madrid against Dortmund? Because, yeah, they made an incredible comeback in that game. Vinicius scoring a hat-trick, absolutely unplayable there, especially in the second half. And a lot of people will say, oh, we're so scared about using the high line against Real Madrid. Well, let me just point out that in that game, Dortmund in the first half, they took the game to Real Madrid. They showed no fear. They were really going for them in front of goal, and they took a 2-0 lead. But what happened in the second half was not a high line. It wasn't that Real Madrid was exposing space in behind Dortmund. The biggest problem Dortmund had was they sat back. They actually withdrew. They stepped back in the field. They sat back as a team. And Real Madrid ran riot, because at the Bernabeu, when the pressure is ramping up, when Real Madrid, the team they are, the mental warriors, let's be honest, that they are, when you're sitting back and they're on top of you, you've got no chance. You're not getting out. You're not scoring another goal. You have basically said, I'm done out here. That's what Dortmund did, because they sat back. Now, that is the thing about Barca coming here. Even against Bayern, we were under pressure. We were getting hit in the face. They were having shots at goal. It wasn't easy for us, but at no point did we give up. Did we give in? Did we collapse as a team? And mentally as well, we stayed firm and we had belief in what we were doing. So that is why, again, I expect Flick to stick with the high line, to believe in it, and I have faith that he will construct a plan to try to stop Vinicius. Because, okay then, how do you go about that? How indeed do you stop Vinicius Jr.? Because no matter what you think of him there, whether you're a fan, whether you're not, what you cannot mistake is that he is an absolutely brilliant player. If he's allowed space, if he's allowed time on the ball, he can hurt you from any position here. And especially with the influence of Mbappe as well, he's of course going to take up a lot of our attention. We're going to be keeping a very, very close eye on him. And that will mean that maybe more space will appear for Vinicius. But the one player that I would just like to introduce you to, and especially to Real Madrid fans here, Marc Casado's in this game. And I say that with my chest here, because honestly, I believe he is the kind of player we've been lacking in so many Clásicos. Because yes, Koundé, he's been on fire this season. Up against Vinicius Jr. in this position, you'd expect him to try to go toe-to-toe with him. Pau Kubasi will cover in there, and he's been outstanding this season too. But we need someone like Casado. We need a midfielder there who is tenacious, who will go toe-to-toe with somebody, who will show bravery in big moments, and the energy that he will have. He will be constantly buzzing around Vinicius, around Mbappe, trying to break up play, trying to break up their momentum, especially when they're in possession of the ball here. We do not want to see them playing quick passes here in our own half. We don't want to see them combining, playing give and goes, Vinicius running in behind Mbappe, picking him out there. We need players in and amongst that, and Casado, he is absolutely crucial. Defensively, he is everything we need to try to stop the threat. However, guys, can I just say completely honestly here, we won't necessarily stop Real Madrid. I am not going to come out and say here that Vinicius, that Mbappe, that Jude Bellingham will come away from this game having had no chances to score. I don't think it's realistic. They are too good. The players that are in front of us here, they are outstanding attacking players, and we're not saying we're going to shut them out. That is not Hansi Flick's idea. He didn't think that against Bayern either. What we said was, though, yeah, we may concede a few chances, you may break through, but we will have our own. And I believe there will be a belief in Barca that, again, in these areas when Real Madrid are committing players forward, they have offensive midfielders here. Bellingham will move into attacking areas. Mbappe will always be on the shoulder looking in behind. Valverde will be buzzing around here as well. But Barca will believe that they can turn that ball over. And when they do, you have two players. You have Lamine Yamal, who even then, when he's surrounded, when Real Madrid will be trying desperately to win the ball back to avoid counter-attacking situations, Yamal can get out of that situation. He has the ability to take 1, 2, 3 players out the game. And it's exactly the same, by the way, with Pedri as well. Those two are absolutely key in getting Barca up the field, unlocking Real Madrid and unlocking those counter-attacking opportunities. Because the thing about Yamal right now, it's almost as though Hansi Flick and Barcelona, they want Real Madrid. They want opposition teams to surround him. They want teams to go and actually double up on Yamal. You need to, because if you don't, you won't stop him. You might not anyway, but Barca want the opposition to be surrounding him, because if 2, 3 players are all around Yamal, you know that somewhere else there's a free man. And the difference now is that we're actually using that here. It might be the number 10 who's free. It might be a run in here whereby he's not being picked up. The attention is not on him. We saw against Bayern, it was Raphinha. Time and time and time again. On this left side, we will be looking again for those diagonal balls. And this is the area that we target. Because I have to say, guys, I believe Real Madrid badly miss Dani Carvajal. They absolutely do there. I believe he's not only a leader in their team defensively, but he's a real organiser as well. He can sense danger, he can act upon it. Lucas Vázquez is not the same player. It is as simple as that. And if there was one player right now that you'd want to go face-to-face, toe-to-toe with Vázquez, you want that matchup. You want that matchup all day long, every day of the week. We can talk about Vinicius. We can talk about the danger that he can pose. What about this over here? Because, yeah, I'm sure that Ancelotti will try to have Valverde covering in, helping out. Tchouaméni maybe has to come across here. But I guarantee Raphinha gets joy. I absolutely guarantee you that in this matchup, 1 versus 1, we will get joy. Down Real Madrid's right-hand side, Vázquez there was at fault for both Borussia Dortmund goals in midweek. And that's the weakness. And that plays into our game plan. It's what we've been doing anyway. It's the kind of situation that we've been planning, that we've been working on, that we saw work so well against Bayern. And right here, it is even more nicely poised for us to take advantage. But here is the big question. And the one takeaway today, this is what I want to know you're feeling on right now. Who starts in the 10? Who are you going to line up with if you're Hansi Flick in that attacking midfield area, given how well Fermin played against Bayern, the effectiveness that he had? And I believe he could do that again against Real Madrid. Make no mistake at all. Again, it's a game that suits his style of play. But then Dani Olmo comes on in that game, and he's outstanding as well. We have such depth right now. We have such quality. We can have players come off the bench and make an impact. So how would you start this game? Who would you line up with in that number 10 position? And also let me know down below which area you believe this game will be won and lost in. Where are the key battles coming from, guys? I will see you all soon with the match preview coming up. Let me know all your feelings down below. Thank you indeed for the energy. Thank you indeed for the amazing support. We march on to another huge game this weekend. But until next time, guys, yeah, as always, Visca, El Barça.